Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Gonna Do podcast. This is your host, AJ. Hope everybody is doing good. I appreciate y'all who decide to come back week after week and listen to me talk. I appreciate all of the new people that are joining and getting into this club, you know what I mean? I appreciate everybody, for all of the love, all of the help, the comments, the retweets, whatever it is that you do, I appreciate it. This one is going to be a little bit different. I think I always say that. I feel like everyone is a little bit different, but I'm going to be talking about my functional, dysfunctional family, expectations versus reality over the years, and the point that I've gotten to now, and just where I am when it comes to my family. This episode actually came about because last weekend, as y'all may know, I went to a wedding, and y'all probably only saw a few tweets on it real late at night, me talking about just being with a house full of females. But anyway, just looking at how my wife interacts with her family, and it just got me to thinking about some stuff, things that I say to myself, but some of y'all out there may be able to feel me, may be able to resonate and just sympathize, or maybe it may just help you think about your family a little bit differently, because people always say nobody's family is perfect. Life is life. You just deal with the cards that you're dealt. You just have to play them the best way you can. Let me not get too far off into the episode. Please go to podbean.com/what we gonna do. If you would like to get a free 30 days of unlimited podcast hosting on me, that'll get you started. You can download Podbean using the app. You can do it through the website. It's pretty straightforward, easy. Go out, get started today. Write it down. Go to your web browser. Save it in your phone. Podbean.com/what we gonna do. Use my link. Help a brother out. If you would like to support the show, please visit patreon.com/what we gonna do. And, do whatever you see fit to do. You know what I mean? If somebody out there is a millionaire, y'all want to help your boy out, that's how you do it. Now, if you don't want to do that, we got plenty of other things you can do. Follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter, at What We Gon' Do Pod. DM me. I ain't got no problem talking. I ain't got no problem conversing. If you want to reach out to me, especially about some money, specifically, everybody else don't worry about reaching out to. If you want to talk to me about some money, go on, send something my way. Make sure you all go out, subscribe, retweet, comment, like, review, do all of that good stuff. Help me out. I need that. You know what I mean? I'm a one-man band. You know what I mean? So I need all the help I can get. You know what I mean? And it's always appreciated. If y'all are having any issues hearing me, or y'all hear anything in the background, I apologize in advance, but it is what it is. I just gotta make it happen. I am actually recording this before it comes out tomorrow. Normally I don't do that. I hate to do that. I always try to really get my recording down in advance, but the way my schedule worked out, it just wasn't feasible. So I'm still getting something out to y'all. I'm still going to make this as enjoyable as I can, but, it's not a part of the regularly scheduled programming, of what I would like to do and edit and all of that good stuff. But I'm going to get it out to y'all, you know what I mean, as soon as I can. Hopefully first thing in the morning, if I can get this joint edited tonight. But it's late. It's late. Just letting y'all know I'm an old man, you know what I'm saying? I'm 30 years old, you know what I mean? I'm way out past my prime. You know what I mean? I'm joking, but let's go ahead and get to the episode. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I probably did. Oh well, so be it. All right. F is for family. I was really like, man, fuck, motherfuckers, what the fuck? I know that's real vulgar, but I was just like, man, I don't know if F is, I was just like, F is for family. I just thought that was funny, to be honest. You know what I mean? I was just like, it really was like a question. It's like, man, is F really for family? Faith, fun, food, all this. It's like, man, is F really for for family? It's almost like it's more for friends than it is for family, right? It's like F is for friends. You know what I mean? It's like, it seems like, especially these days, and even when I was younger, we talk way more about our friends than we do our family, and that's interesting to say the least. Usually you would think your family and your friends are the same people. You know what I mean? You get close. I mean, these are the people typically you are the closest with. Your brothers and sisters, if you have brothers and sisters. Your cousins, if they live close to you. Your mom, your dad, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. You know what I mean? You would think these are some of the people that you are the closest to, but that's not always the case. So I actually want to start out with talking about like my cousins and just what I thought versus what I learned over time. So your cousins, first, second, third, whatever you count as your cousins, that's what I'm talking about right now. These are the individuals who are the sons and daughters of your aunts and uncles. You would think these are some of the closest people you're going to know in life. These are people that are around your age, they may be a little bit older, they may be a little bit younger. These are your cousins. You know what I mean? Again, they because of your mom, these people are over at your house all the time. I mean, these are people that we would think you're very, very familiar with. You know what I mean? And cousins, we would expect, like, okay, you got the cool cousins. You got the cousins that want to get you in trouble. You got the mean cousins. You got the cousins that's born that don't want to never do nothing. You got all of these different type of cousins. And for me, my cousin Ruff was like my best friend for a long time. Every time I would go up to my grandmother's house, I would see my cousin Ruff, Rashad, T, all these different, it was what, a few boys, you know what I'm saying? And then a few girls or whatever as well. Annie, Shaquita, you know what I mean? A few different cousins. We all typically got together. Y'all probably heard me talk about this in my Christmas episode, where I kind of talked about like family and how we would do these different get-togethers at my grandmother's house. So anytime I went over there, I always saw my cousins. You know what I'm saying? They lived in the neighborhood. They came up to the house. They stayed over there with us. So when it came to me dealing with my cousins, them was some of my best friends. Now that's on my dad's side. On my mom's side, it wasn't necessarily like that. We were really close as far as like my family on my dad's side, but once my great grandmother passed, everybody kind of went their separate ways. Really don't even know who your cousins is. You know what I'm saying? And that was one thing I thought was always funny, and I heard when I was younger, is like, be careful who you date, because Little Rock is small, and you might fuck around and be dating your cousin and not even know it, because people don't talk no more. People don't communicate, and so you don't know that this last name is this, or this person had a baby by this. You don't even know your family like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so disconnected for some people. So dad's side, mom's side. Y'all gonna hear me talk about that a lot, because my mom's side of the family is super dysfunctional. My dad's side of the family, super functional. Got a lot going on. Everybody's connected. Still have family gatherings every year. Family Christmas parties. Spending Thanksgiving together. All this good stuff. People get invited out to church events. Some of my family members are pastors and preachers and ministers of music and all this other stuff on that side of the family. And you know what I mean? Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But anyway, So these are the two things that I normally kind of dealt with. You know what I mean? I got these cousins when I go over to my grandma's house, which is on one side of town. And then I got these cousins where I live in Little Rock. They're around me or whatever. But again, we don't really speak. The closest cousins that I was with as far as age, they ended up moving to Texas. They was all girls. It was one boy, but it was just like, damn. The cousins that I was the coolest with, that I had the most fun with, they ended up moving. So over the years, as far as my mom's side, I would find out different people are my cousins. You know what I mean? We'll be at some type of school event, or I would be in some program or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, who your dad? Who did it? You know, be talking and blah, 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 blah. And long story short, come to find out, oh, that's little such and such, blue, you know, that's whatever. That's your cousin. Like, huh? Oh, yeah, this my people. You know, like you get to communicating and this person telling you who they related to and who they people is. And you like, that's your people? Like, shit, that's my people. You know what I'm saying? Like, who yo? And be like, damn, we kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? That's how we talk. You know what I mean? We kinfolk. We relatives. You know what I mean? If y'all ain't familiar with that type of lingo, that type of language, that type of twang, that's normal out here. We kinfolk. Cuz. What's up, cuz? What's up? You know, fam was later on. You get a little older, everybody want to be cool, and now it's fam. But when I was younger, that was cuz. You know what I mean? That was kinfolk. That was my family. So anyway, I would meet them, you know, through various times throughout the years, you know what I mean? As far as my mom's side, we would talk sometimes. Most time we wouldn't talk. I was always closer to my friends in Little Rock than I was to my family. Like, I knew who my family was, and my family was deep. Now, that's one thing is, even though we didn't fuck with each other like that, as far as my mom's side of the family, like, if you needed them or whatever, they had your back. Because, again, my family is affiliated, you know what I mean? They've always been like involved in things. Like, my family is known in Little Rock. I know a lot of times it be sounding like, man, I'll just be talking, but I'm being dead serious, man. Even me, people look at me, my friends be like, damn, man, everybody know you. And I'm like, well, that's because everybody know my family, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just normal. Like, when it come to this side of town, everybody know my family over here. When it come to the other side of town, everybody know my family over there too, but that's my dad's side of the family, you know what I mean? So they have a different experience. Over there, they think like, oh, he the good boy, whoop-de-woo. And then on my mom's side, they like, oh, this little dude be running the street, he be involved in XYZ, you know what I'm saying? He's smart, but, you know what I'm saying, he be on this shit too. Like, he don't be, you know what I mean? He ain't no little choir boy or whatever. So that's what everybody was kind of known for. So, going back to talk about my dad's side of the family, and, you know, I know this probably gonna get confusing, but, you know what I mean? I hope y'all can follow me. So anyway, them cousins, was just like smart, man. They made you feel good, made you happy, want to do stuff, want to grow. And as we got older, we just kind of got separated because, man, they were at different schools way over here. I'm at a different school in a whole other city over here. We would still talk and communicate, but our relationship wasn't as close as it once was as we got older. All the cousins in Little Rock, like I say, that was what it was. But as far as them, I love them. I miss them. I always wanted to see them, but we just grew apart as we got older. And then because of how our families are, people did start acting a little funny. You know what I mean? You know, some individuals have a little bit more money. You know, they family work for the state or lawyers or, you know, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? They have, you know, money. That my side of the family on that side, they got a lot of money. My side of the family on my mom's side, that ain't necessarily the case. You know, it's two different worlds, but it's funny that both of them different worlds, they all come from the same background. Like, everybody got like a hood background. Like, my cousins on my dad's side would tell me, you know, about how they would count the gunshots and how they knew what gun was what just by the sounds, and, you know, in different little situations or whatever. And then, of course, my family on the other side, they got guns and stuff. You know, this is regular. You know what I mean? That ain't even nothing. That ain't even a conversation to be talking about guns or whatever. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Who don't got a gun? Everybody got a gun. You know what I mean? That's just Little Rock or whatever. But anyway, both come from similar backgrounds, but way different paths. Like, individuals over here like VPs and execs and all these degrees, and then the other side is the opposite of all that. You know what I mean? They dysfunctional. They not living like that. They funny as a motherfucker, man. They cool to kick it with, to drink with, and all that type of shit. But they mean, some people are shady. They stab you in the back. They don't communicate with you all the time. People that's your blood. That was always the craziest thing to me, is like, especially with my cousins, it's like, yo, we blood. That, like, how do you act like that towards people that's your blood? Whether you cool with them or not, whether you grew up with them or not, the fact that I know you, you know me, your daddy is such and such, we should have a better relationship than this. We should, at minimum, be treating each other better than this. But they wasn't fucked up about that, you know what I mean? Me and my mom, and we was always kind of like in the middle, you know what I mean? We cool with everybody, but we ain't no funny acting people until other people start acting funny. So, of course, I have cousins that act funny on both sides for different reasons or whatever. But I always consider myself to be the cool cousin. I ain't really got no problem with nobody unless they got a problem with me, or unless they treat my sisters a certain way. If you denounce my sisters, if you be like, you don't fuck with my sisters for whatever reason, I'm gonna fuck who you is. I'm not gonna fuck with you. I love my sisters, good, bad, indifferent. So if you got a problem with them, for whatever reason you got a problem with them, whether it's whatever it is, you got a problem with me, because I'm big bro. So that ain't gonna fly. But anyway, that's like, me talking about my cousins, you know what I mean? I really do, I love my family. I don't like all of my family, but I love them. I would hate to hear about anything happening to them. I wish them all the best. I don't communicate with all of them, but it's just like, man, you know how it is. It's always good to see them. It's always love when you see them. Everything is love. You know what I'm saying? Love is everything. That's what it is, especially when it comes to your cousins, like people that's really your same age, or even a little bit older, a little bit younger. It's like, man, these my little cousins. These my big cousins. Like, these my cousins. Like, man, I got love for them. I want them to do well. I want them. It's just like natural. Because it's like, at the end of the day, at least for me, I know everybody don't fool with their family like this, but I really do think like, this my blood. Now, I may not go to nobody's wedding. I may not do this. I may not put no money on nothing, but I love them all the same. Whether you done been to the pen, whether you got a murder charge, whether you got this business, whatever it is, good or bad, it's like, man, I love my family, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like natural. And I don't feel bad for that, you know what I mean? I might be disappointed at times, because that love ain't reciprocated, but it's like, hey, that's my family, you know what I mean? And they are who they are because of the parents and kind of how that fell through with the aunts and uncles, so on and so forth, you know what I mean? Like, that could have been better. We could have been closer, and it just didn't work out that way. So, my expectations when it comes to my cousins, everybody's supposed to be cool. Everybody's supposed to communicate. Everybody's supposed to look out for each other. That's what you would think. Like, that's almost like the responsibility of cousins. Like, hey, man, we play together. We look out for each other. We like brothers and sisters that ain't brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the expectation. The reality is, everybody ain't on that same tip. A lot of people is, I'm looking out for me and mine. And some of them ain't even like that. They don't even care about their brothers and sisters. They like, I'm just looking out for me. Not even my moms or nothing like that, man. It's some crazy shit. You know what I mean? However you was raised, but it's just like, I got used to that. You know what I mean? I got used to the funny acting cousins. I got used to the cousins that moved away. I got used to the cousins that was doing good, that I could look up to and ask for help and mentor and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I got used to all of those different things. So it's just like, overall, I'm going to keep saying this. It is what it is. Like, my family is my family. So I kind of take them as they are, not as I would like them to be. And that's kind of my thought towards everybody. And you're going to hear that again. But it's kind of just like, I got to a point to where it's like, I expect this from XYZ at this point. If I don't ever see this cousin again, cool. You know what I mean? It's just, I know what it is, man. I ain't no little kid no more. I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. None of that other stuff. It's just like, that's who this cuz is. That's who this is. That's who whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. You know what I'm saying? This how people act, man. Even again, you would think that people would act differently because y'all blood, but you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people, man, that don't mean shit, you know? Yeah, y'all just blood. Aunts and uncles. Aunts and uncles. You know, aunts, man, I was just like, aunts, I really thought just were like sweet. You know what I'm saying? Like, aunts are supposed to be sweet. It doesn't mean that they're supposed to be super old or whatever the case may be. It's just like, I felt like aunts were supposed to be like second mothers. You know what I'm saying? Because they were probably around the same age as your mother. You know what I'm saying? So you looked up to them. You expected them to look out for you, to protect you, things like that. You know what I mean? To take care of you. Same thing with uncles, you know what I'm saying? You look at uncles, now these are men, especially, again, I'm a man. So when it comes to uncles, I'm already thinking like, oh yeah, Unc gonna look out for me. Unc gonna help me. Unc gonna call me. Unc gonna come to the games. Unc gonna give me some money. Unc gonna, it's like, as a boy, you really think that your uncle is going to be heavily involved in your life because you are their brother's or sister's brother. Like, you really believe that, okay, this person is gonna treat me as if I was theirs. I didn't feel that same way about aunts, but I felt that way. I mean, kind of, I guess, about aunts, but I really felt that way about uncles. And I have more uncles than aunts at different levels. You know what I mean? When you talk about a grand aunt and my grandmother's, brothers and sisters versus my mom's, brothers and sisters versus my dad's brothers, you know what I mean? So there are different levels to that. So that's kind of, what I thought as far as uncles. What I learned was these people are people just like me, especially as I got older. They got their own responsibilities. They got their own stuff they thinking about. And I know this is about to sound bad, but my relationship with my aunts and uncles is, even on both sides, it's really like, as far as my dad's side, if I call them, maybe if I ask them for something, they probably can help me look out for something. They probably can get me a job or something like that. On my mom's side, they'll probably give me some advice. They'll get me out of a fight or something like that. They'll fight for me, something like that, you know what I'm saying? But the biggest thing that I learned is that I couldn't count on them. Which is kind of, it's sad, man. I just kind of had to really figure out how to count on myself. Like, I really used to look to them as a kid as like, yo, this is what y'all supposed to be. Like, I was one of them kids who really took words literally, and I thought people would be like those words. I thought people would act like what they are. And I learned differently. My family didn't do that. My uncles looked out for themselves way more than they looked out for me. And they different ages, but it's just like, yo, I was not as important as I thought I would be to them. Some of them I became a little bit more important as I got older, but the relationship is already where it is. It's like, I don't need you to be my uncle when I'm 21 or 25. I needed you to be my uncle and look out for me when I was 5 and 6 and 7. When my dad passed, you know what I mean? I needed you to be more active. And people didn't do that. You know what I mean? You would think that, especially something like that happening, man, people would get more activated, and they didn't. They already wasn't, but it's like even worse. You know what I'm saying? Even more. So I just got to a point to where it's just like, hey, they family. I love them. They aunts, they uncles. Cool. But I don't expect nothing from them. They ain't got to do nothing for me. I don't never plan on doing nothing for them. You know what I'm saying? If they need me, if they need a little help or whatever, they call me, cool. But it's like, other than that, ain't no what's up, nephew? Ain't no what's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit be kind of like played out. Like, don't be called, you know what I'm saying? I don't be like, don't call me and be talking about nephew, this, that, and the third, but I think everybody know what it is. Like, people know not to play with me. People know to watch what they say to me, and people know that they not gonna just be able to get over on me or kind of like sweet talk me. All that sweet shit is gone. Like, that kid been gone for a very long time. Like, if you think you dealing with that kid as a grown person, you got everything fucked up. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm my own man. I'm grown just like y'all grown. I don't care if you 50 or 60 or 37 or 38. Nigga, we all grown now. You know what I'm saying? We on the same level. I drink. I do whatever, you know what I'm saying? I do whatever I do. I got a little girl. I got a family now. I got my own house now. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nothing from nobody. And like I said, I know this is going to sound bad, but that's just how I feel. My aunts, they off doing whatever they doing. They ain't never really been like that. It's like we had closer, me and my aunts, I will say we probably had closer relationships when I was younger than when I got older. And I always be thinking like older people should call you, man. It's just like phones work both ways. Like, I would think that if I'm your aunt or uncle, I'm going to call you. I'm going to check on you. I'm going to talk to your mama and ask about you. I'm going to talk to your grandma and ask about you. And it's like, damn, you don't do none of that? Y'all don't do none of that? You know what I'm saying? I probably ask about X amount of people more than they ask about me. And I don't know. I don't know all the conversations my mom has, my grandma has, whoever. You know what I'm saying? But all I know is what comes back to me, and it's like, I don't even exist until I exist. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. You know, I ain't gonna talk about that too much more, but that's how it is with both of my sides of the family. You know what I mean? I definitely communicate more with my mom's, side of the family as far as my uncles. You know what I'm saying? Like, we pretty much grew up together. One uncle, he was off, but we always communicated, whether it was via mail or email or on the phone. My other uncle, he a little bit younger. He about 7 years older than me. And so I just grew up under him. You know, I came up under his umbrella, you know what I'm saying? Running behind him, doing whatever he was doing. We was on the trampoline doing this. We was at the basketball court doing this. We was in the field doing this with the football. We was out in the streets doing this, you know what I'm saying? I just kind of came up with him. So we was around each other, but they, there are things even with them, you know what I mean? And again, I love everybody to death. I just know I'm AJ and they them. And that's all I can expect. Not anything that has to do with me. Just that they are them and I am me. You know what I'm saying? Brothers and sisters. Whew. Brothers and sisters, I always felt like you have to look out for each other. This is not an option. With the other, it's kind of like optional. It's an expectation, but it's optional. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds funny for me to say expectation and optional, but it's like an optional expectation. You know what I mean? It's not required. Brothers and sisters, I feel like that is a requirement of a brother or a sister. I grew up essentially without siblings. You know, my siblings were either younger or were way younger. You know what I mean? They were born way later. I've talked about the different gaps and sister. So you have to go back and listen to that episode. But I've talked about, these different things as far as it relates to my sisters. So I'm the big brother. And I was like, I got to look out for them. I got to protect them. And again, this is different ages, different stages. And again, I talked about all of this stuff in that episode. But basically how I looked at it is, as the boy, you are supposed to be that whoop people ass, be tough, talk shit, lead if you the oldest, you know what I mean? Get them somebody to look up to. Keep them out of the bad shit. Now, some brothers, of course, they show their little sisters everything. They get to see the good and the bad. I kept my sisters away from seeing any of the bad shit, but I felt like brothers, you're supposed to be strong. Sisters, you're supposed to be tough. I'm gonna be honest. I always felt like girls are supposed to be tough because I feel like girls gotta learn to develop thick skin and boys is kind of like, it's more natural, I would say, because how we are raised is just a little bit harder in a lot of times. But girls is like, okay, look, I know you got pink this, I know you got pony this, I know you got this little Barbie, whatever the case. But it's like you got to toughen them up to deal with being in the neighborhood, dealing with boys, being at the school, dealing with co-workers. You know, like over the years, you're like, man, you got to work on, toughening them up to deal with just life. Because typically they gonna be babied, they gonna be super loved, they gonna be, girly. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna be playing football. They may not be playing basketball. They may not be doing no physical activities or whatever. You know what I'm saying? That's the brothers. You know what I'm saying? We supposed the boys supposed to go out and get rough and get dirty, this, that, and the third. The girls supposed to cheerlead or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Go play tennis or, whatever, sing, dance, etc., etc. Boys and girls. Like I said, I had 3 sisters. I had a stepbrother. Had a sister-in-law. Had a, I want to say, and then I got, whatever. I guess like some brother-in-laws or whatever, technically. But anyway, that's how I always looked at it. You know what I mean? Brothers and sisters, you're supposed to have a good relationship. You're supposed to protect each other. You're supposed to talk to each other and communicate. You know what I'm saying? And if there's anything, you're supposed to go to mom. You know what I'm saying? I always looked at it like that's how it would be in a normal, functional family. That brothers and sisters would just be, y'all in the house together. Like a lot of stuff is natural because of the sheer proximity to each other. But it takes work as well. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to be a brother. You have to learn how to be a sister. This is not just normal. It's not the same as like raising a kid. Even though if you are quite older than your brothers and sisters, it can feel like, okay, yeah, I know you was a baby and I remember when you was in diapers, and that love is just so different when it's your brother and your sister, and just how much you feel about them, especially if y'all in the same house. If y'all got separated for whatever reason, then again, that love, at least for me, it was still there, even though me and my oldest sister, she younger than me, but she the oldest girl. We wasn't in the same house, but man, she was the first. We was always around. I loved her, you know what I'm saying? Like, still love her to this day. And there's no separation between the sisters I was in the house with and the sister I wasn't in the house with. It's like, man, they all the same to me. All the same, you know what I'm saying? There's no lines or whatever. So yeah, brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? That was my expectations. That was the reality. I mean, the reality was, like I said, again, I already talked about it, but just to reiterate, I was the big brother. I was always the oldest. Even with the cousins, it was like I was the oldest cousin, you know what I'm saying? It was like I was the oldest nephew. I was, you know what I mean? Well, I wasn't the oldest nephew or whatever. I was in the younger group of nephews, and you know what I mean? I was in the younger group of nephews, and along with the nieces and stuff like that. We was like one of the younger groups or whatever. But as far as like brothers and sisters, I'm the oldest. With 3 younger sisters, a sister-in-law, a brother-in-law, but I'm still the oldest. So it's like, man, I set the tone. You know what I'm saying? Going off to college, graduating high school, working, starting a family, having a child. Well, technically, I ain't set the tone with that because my sister, actually I did. She didn't have her daughter, my niece, until after. So I set the tone for the most part with a lot of stuff for them. And I feel like the older sibling is typically supposed to do that. You're supposed to lead the way. You're supposed to open the doors. You're supposed to get the blueprint together so that the next generation that come behind you, it's a little bit easier for them. And that's always what I've tried to do as a brother. Always. Grandmas and grandpas. Man, I don't know about y'all. Don't y'all love y'all grandmas and grandpas? I just love them. It's just like something you just supposed to do. You just supposed to love them. They watch you. You go over their house. They give you candy. Maybe the grandpa's is mean to you, but he love you too and let you watch the game with him, and he tell you about sports, or he take you fishing, or he take you hunting. Grandmas and grandpas is like supposed to be like the cool people. Like even cooler than your mom and dad. Like these are supposed to be the people that look out for you probably as much as your own parents. You know, not like brothers and sisters, not like cousins, not like aunts and uncles. It's like a completely different relationship because you're their grandchild. You're their child. You know what I'm saying? Like you, just like your mama was, it's like, man, you get that same thing. Now, not everybody get it, but expectations, you would think you get that same thing. So I really didn't have a grandfather. One of my grandfather is actually living on my dad's side. We never really had a relationship like that. So most of the individuals that I grew up around and I'm used to and that did stuff for me and that took me out and that cared for me, that picked me up from school, was all my grandmothers. You know, on both sides, all like in most capacities, it was all my grandmothers. My grandfathers had either passed or we just wasn't close like that. You know what I mean? They was just like them grandfathers that they was alive, but they did their own thing and they saw you for Thanksgiving or they saw you like for holidays and they might have checked on you every once in a blue moon. That's how my grandfather was. That's how my grandfather is to this day. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird and I want to repair that relationship because I feel like we don't have a relationship, but it's just like so many years went by where I wasn't around him like that. I think he just got used to it after, I guess, him and my grandmother got divorced and you know, he went over here, got remarried, and she, you know what I'm saying, he was still in the same state. That's the crazy shit is like, my dad would take me over his house or my uncle would take me over there and I would see him here and there, but it's like, man, we just never built that relationship again. This is a person I would have thought would have checked on me, would have came to see me, would have came and picked me up, took me somewhere, you know. He just didn't do that. And he was in the same damn state as me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly where he was living, but he couldn't have been gone too far because my uncle always seen him. I just didn't see him. And we didn't have necessarily the same interests, you know what I'm saying? It's like he was, you know, in the hunting and all that. I wasn't into that, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't around him for that. And like I said, once my dad passed, I definitely wasn't around him or whatever. So as far as grandfathers, I don't really have much to say about them. You know, mine weren't around. I would have liked to have had a grandfather. I think that would have been important to have that type of father figure, that type of man. I think that's a good foundational thing. But the reality is not all of us get that luxury. Or, you know, maybe your grandfather was an asshole. Maybe he didn't want you to be born, whatever the case may be. But you know what I'm saying? It's like everybody deal with their different things as far as it relates to the men. Now, my grandmothers, although they were not perfect, although they are not perfect, one of my grandmothers passed. Sorry for the pause, but so one of my grandmothers passed, and my other grandmother is living, and you know, it's so funny. Like, I would always look at the differences between one and the other because one of them was like, both of them did the same stuff, but in different ways. Like, my grandmother that passed, this was like my best friend. We made up songs. When mom was at work, she watched me. Mom had me young, so I mean, it's like I was always with my grandmother. I was always at her house. She gave me most of my nicknames. She gave me my first nickname. I will not tell y'all what that is because me and my homeboy almost got into a fight. I think I mentioned on the other episode that there are certain names nobody can call me ever in life, ever again. So she was just like, man, my friend. And she was just like so positive. She, you know, she had some other sides too. She wasn't nothing to play with, and y'all have heard me talk about her, but she was so loving. She was so caring. She was so considerate. She was so helpful when it came to everybody, man. And she like would support you. She would get on your ass too if you disrespected her, but she was just like, man, that grandmother, like that big mama, like, you know what I'm saying? Now, well, she wasn't necessarily the big mama. Big mamas, they keep the families together, do this, that, and the third. But she was our star of our family, especially, as far as my mom's side. Like, she was just like, awesome. You know what I'm saying? And when she passed, it really hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really, really hurt me. Like, I couldn't stop crying for a while. This is as an adult. This is as a married man. Like, I was crying over my grandmother more than I cried over my father. So that really hurt me. But I think she would have been happy. I think she would have been proud. I know she looking down on me and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think she was able to meet my wife. You know what I mean? I would have loved for my daughter to meet her, man. Like, my daughter would have loved her. She would have loved my daughter. My other grandmother, awesome. She was like a provider. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was one of them tough, strong women that went to work, that retired, that did manual labor, that started a business, that took care of her house, that took care of her kids. Even if she babied them, she was just like a strong woman. She is a very strong woman, God-fearing woman, go to church all the time, man. And she's like, cook for you if you need something, you know what I'm saying? She may not always have it to give you, but she might make something shake, you know what I mean? She might figure something out just so she can help her grandchild out. That's the type of grandmother that she is, and I love her to this day, just for what she has done for us. Because had she not stepped in, where my dad fell short, I wouldn't be the man that I am today without her. You know what I'm saying? And how she treated me, and how well she knew me. Like, we weren't even around each other as much as I was around my other grandmother, but like, she knew me. And as I got older, and we had this conversation earlier this year, but I realized, like, I have a lot of her ways. I didn't know where a lot of stuff came from as far as like my habits and stuff that I do. And I had a conversation with her, and we was just talking about some different stuff. And I was like, I do that same thing. Like, and I'm steady saying that about different stuff to her. And she just, she kind of like laughing, and you know what I mean? But it's not surprising. Like, I didn't know how well she knew me. And I guess it's because I'm like her. For whatever reason, like, I'm really like her in a lot of aspects. Very strong woman, very strong woman. So, with grandparents, I think you again, luck of the draw. Whether you have your grandfather, grandmother, and how they treat you, how well you guys communicate, if they are still living, if you even got to meet them, because everybody's not able to meet their grandparents, you know what I mean, or great grandparents, so on and so forth. But I, have, been fortunate, to at least have my grandmothers in my life. So I think that, with them, again, you just got to take them as they are, and you got to love them, and you got to communicate with them. Like, they got so many stories to tell, so much knowledge and wisdom to give, and when they leave, those stories go with them. So if you have your grandmother or grandfather living, and you have some type of way to communicate with them, reach out to them, talk to them, get some information about their life. You know what I'm saying? And it might just blow your mind. It might just put you on a different path. It might just really spark something in you to know that, oh man, I came from this. Like, I'm a product of this person. And this you know what I mean? Stuff I didn't even know. I was like, I'm grown and I'm still learning stuff. That's what's there with them. Just hit, a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? That if you can, try them. Last but not least, moms and dads. I'll always love my mama. Ain't that how the song go? I'll always love my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, my mother, I'm talking about my dad too, but my mother, I feel like, man, she's everything. You know what I'm saying? Once I got married, it was weird, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't cry because I got married. Like, I cried looking at my mom crying. Like, she made me cry. Because I just knew, like, this was like, she had to let me go. You know what I mean? It was like the realization of, like, her child is now connected to another person in a way that he could never be connected to her, but in a way that he's supposed to be connected as far as the universe and just for his life and for his growth and development. Like, I don't know. I just felt all of that. You know what I mean? Even if my mom probably couldn't articulate all of that, I felt that transfer and that feeling of like, I gotta, my son is growing up. And she just did what she had to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, at least to my knowledge, she never really complained. You know what I mean? She probably complained to the men that she dated, the men that she married. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure she has to them. And I mean, we've had conversations about some of her concerns and things like that, but not like when it comes to raising us, like, oh, it's too hard, it's too much on me. It's my mother, for me and my sisters, has always done what she had to do. Whatever sorry ass job, whatever, man, I God willing, before I leave this world, you know what I'm saying, that I will be able to give her back everything that I feel that she has given to me. Everything that she deserves in life. My mom is just like, again, she really made me the man. And I've talked about this before, but she really made me the man I am today. My father, I got a lot from my dad. You know what I mean? And I love my dad. I remember I used to say that I don't look like my mom. I look like my dad. I knew I didn't look like my dad. I knew I looked like my mother. But I used to say that just, I don't know. It was, I guess it's just some type of something with the boys, just like kind of mean. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I used to really just not like when people would say that I look like my mom. Like I don't look like my mom. I look like my dad. It wasn't because of how she looked or anything like that. It was just like, yo, I'm like I want to be with my daddy. I want my daddy. I guess I was just one of them type of kids. And so I used to say that, probably just being a mean little badass boy, you know what I'm saying? To just be like, damn, like, you don't want none of my features? Like, to make my mom feel some type of way about it or whatever. But I look like my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all kind of, look like her. And, you know what I mean? I had to let that go. Like, I didn't really look like my dad. Maybe some features here and there, but I look like my mom. Now, some people, they do see me and they think I do look like my dad, especially now that I'm getting older, but I always knew I looked like my mom. You know what I'm saying? So my dad, he was a good man. He was not perfect. He was a good man. He was a player. He was a womanizer. He had his faults, you know what I mean? He was trying, you know what I mean? I have to give him credit for that. And I will say he was a father. Like, he stepped in when he needed to step in. As far as communicating with us, he may have not done the right things as far as like how, like, where he should have been in life, like his position and kind of like taking care of himself, in his household. But as far as like raising kids, me and my sister, he always made sure that we had a close relationship. He always made sure that he checked on us and he saw us, and that he tried to get us something for Christmas, even if it didn't come from his own money, or he tried to do something for our birthdays, even if it wasn't from him. He tried to come to our games, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to give my father credit for that, because I feel like, man, as parents, you do the best you can, with what you have, whatever your background is, whatever your education level is, man, you do the best you can. And I feel like, look, my daddy didn't leave. You know what I'm saying? My mother didn't leave. You know what I mean? Even though they weren't together, they were still active in my life. So I always felt that my father was going to be in the picture. Even if I wasn't always happy with him, even if I felt like he disappointed me, he let me down, he lied to me, he didn't do the things that he said he would do for me. And you know what I mean? I always pictured him being in the picture. And I wasn't going to say this on the podcast, you know what I mean? I wasn't even really going to talk about it, but, this episode is just, I kind of just go with the flow, man. And like I said earlier, my dad passed. This is something I don't talk about with anybody. But I think it's important, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, if y'all can relate, and y'all know how different things is, and it's just like, certain stuff you just don't even talk about, whether it's your cousin or somebody that was close to you that passed. So I'm a man who had to grow up without his father. I had him for a great part of my life, but I missed him during some of the biggest and most important parts of my life. But what kept me going is I had to think, what would I do if he was still here? And I learned that from my friend, you know what I'm saying? Like, what would my father expect of me? What would he say to me? What would he tell me about my sister? What would he tell me as far as my grandmother? What would he say about my cousins? Like, what would he want of me? And I think my father wanted the best for me. He couldn't always provide it. He couldn't always communicate it. He couldn't always do right about it. But I think ultimately he would have loved to see his son do better than him, and for his son to have everything that his son wants. You know what I mean? You may not always be able to get your kid these toys. You may not always be able to put them in this house. You may not always be able to stay with their mama. You know what I'm saying? But you have fathers that want the best for their kids, regardless of the circumstance. They love them. And my dad is the person who I would say showed me love. My mama did the action. She was like, she wasn't, oh, I love you and huggy and all of this type of stuff. She was tough. She had to be the man and the woman. She had to hold down the house or whatever. My father was the hugging person, give you a kiss on the cheek, the I love you, son. He was that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he really put that in me. Those feelings, you know what I'm saying, that I probably got from my mom, but you know what I mean? It's like he verbalized them, and when he did stuff, it hurt me. And when he, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't feel that same way about my mom, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she did something, she didn't do something, did it hurt me, whoop-de-woo. But my dad, it was like, man, that that would fuck with my feelings when my dad didn't do something, or when he couldn't do something, or when he told me something, he didn't do it, you know what I'm saying? So I love my dad. Parents, I think, again, whether you're adopted or whatever the case may be, man, I think as kids, you initially, you always want that love you want them to love you as much as you love them. You want them to be superheroes. You want them to take care of you. You want to see them happy. You want, like, all of the best things in the world when it comes to your parents. I want them to be together. I want to see them. I want to have them here with me, near me. You want all of that from your parents, you know what I mean? That's like the expectation, you know what I'm saying? But we already know, like, some people dads ain't in their lives, you know what I mean? They don't know who their dads is. Some people moms ain't in their lives. People didn't pass. These individuals were adopted, you know what I mean? That's kind of the reality is, man, your whatever that is, you know what I mean? Your grandparents raised you. It's like, that is the reality that you have to deal with, you know what I mean? I will say that if you are, again, fortunate, and your parents are living, your mother or your father are living, repair that relationship. You only get one. I can say that. And everybody may not feel that same way, but I feel like, look, man, as far as your blood, your actual factual, once that person gone, they gone, man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no, that's it. If they piss you off, you was a bad, like you was bad, you was a bad kid or whatever, and you disappointed them. I don't care. As long as you are living, I would say, man, try to put your pride to the side, put your pain to the side, put your hurt to the side, and repair that relationship. Forgive that person for what they didn't do for you. Appreciate that person for what they did do for you. If you got people in your life, you got your parents in your life, whatever, and you know all the sacrifices they made to raise you, all the stuff they did to take care of you, whatever they did, thank them. Give them those flowers while they can still smell them, man, because once they gone, man, and all that resentment, all that anger, all that love, you ain't got nowhere for it to go, man. It's gonna go in the grave with them. You can forgive yourself, but if you can still reach them while they here, do that. That's my advice, man. That's what I would really tell y'all. It's like, yo, do that. You only get one mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? Even the surrogates. If you got surrogates, you know what I mean? You only, like, once they gone, man. So do what you can to make them proud. Do what you can to repair that relationship, you know what I'm saying? And show your child something that you didn't have. Show your sister something that you didn't have. Like, be an example. Be the bigger person, man. Especially if you older. Like, you go out and do that. Alright, I think I've talked long enough. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode and me kind of, you know what I mean, just really talking about some stuff that's real touchy, you know what I'm saying, and sharing with y'all, man. I hope that this message is received by somebody, man, that it really just makes you think about your actions and things that you could do differently, and just stuff that you holding on to that you should probably let go of. Stuff that, other people dealt with that you can rely, oh yeah, I dealt with that too, you know what I'm saying? And damn, if you was able to, you know what I'm saying, persevere and still become the man that you are, like, yo, I gotta keep moving, you know what I'm saying? And let people live, man. Again, see people as they are and not as who you would like them to be. That's the best advice I can give you. That's the best thing that you can do. You can still push people, you can still encourage people, but sitting here and really, like, having something on your heart like that, having something on your mind like that, when you really have no control over that, ain't good for you. This is AJ. This is the What We Gonna Do podcast. Find me on social media at What We Gonna Do Pod. Visit podbean.com/What We Gonna Do for a free 30 days of unlimited podcast hosting. Go to patreon.com/What We Gonna Do and support the podcast. Please give me a review. Please like this. Please share this. Please comment. Let me know how y'all feeling out there. Again, don't be no strangers, man. Y'all come out, y'all holler at me. Alright, until next time, peace.